play, dude. We going on, dude. We're gonna have a fun show today. We're looking at details. We're looking at technicality, but I'm gonna make it playful for all of us too. So, first thing I want to do is introduce you to the core concept, which is to celebrate the woman's VVS, her clitoris, her vulva, and just make that the focus of your life, specifically your wife's, what she looks like and everything, but also to celebrate it in women in general, and it puts less of an emphasis on the, penetrative intercourse and the man-dominated woman and how like large or loose or depth of the woman's internal vagina, and makes it more about celebrating the woman and her body, and not like the way people celebrate women's breasts. Like, I don't know if you've heard of this character. Let me take the camera here. So this guy's name, you've John Zerka. He's very funny, but the reason he's funny is because he's a contradiction. He will on one angle he'll say that he's Christian oriented, and then at the same time he'll say that, well, all these women are deviant, so we have to treat them, poorly, or treat them, as whatever. But basically, he's not celebrating the woman's body, and he's not protecting women, and he's not worshiping, he's not aiming for a wife. And so the worst part about him is he thinks that giving oral pleasure to a woman is somehow a reductionist activity. And the same goes with Myron of Fresh and Fit. Both of them have said, and so this is a look into the psychology of realizing that, yeah, it is a humbling act, but it's a transcendental act to pleasure a woman orally, because it makes it more about her and her body than about the man and his ability to dominate or whatnot a woman. And so, like just look at I'm going to show you guys these 4 clips, some, and at the same time, some of it's entertaining, some of it's logical, but this is kind of an intro to how these characters think. So let's take a look here. So the first one is I'm going to feature this guy. So he's he's making this joke about the ratios of, hips to breasts to the buttocks, and I really believe that the fat, even though it may look attractive, it's not, shouldn't be the focus of a man. Like, the breasts are for children to
Don't
suckle.
even go evolutionary. Just like, what do you say? Simple.
And it should be emphasized on the woman's VVS.
So what you're looking at is physically is figure 8. And I know I exaggerate this, but I think all men are like me, to be honest. That's all we fucking do anything. If I got endorsed by one of them, I would.
So yeah, he goes into all this, like,
in the first place, to say no and reject her, though, seems like a paradox. No, it's not, because you're forgetting the Trinity. We'll go back to the Trinity.
So all these guys, these red pill guys, what they talk about is that they talk about trying to be, the strongest, most, richest, toughest, most appealing guy to women's psychology, and like be able to charm their emotions and talk to them and stuff. But all that stuff doesn't really mean anything when it comes to marriage, because when it comes to marriage, it's about celebrating, worshiping the woman, and also it's about being stoic and not letting her emotions run the relationship or run it, because it's, that's not what women truly want. Women truly want, the reason, for example, that they want a quote-unquote bad boy is because the bad boy isn't desperate for her sexually. He doesn't desperately want her. He what he wants is he what a so in other words, what a man should do is engage in self-intimacy every day, if even during marriage. Like, the number one shit test women will do on men, including in marriage, is if the man is so desperate that he wants to be with them. If the man is easily controlled by desire, or under the influence, of lust and her emotions and his emotions, then she's going to control things. And some men might think that that's what women want, because they say, or society or whoever it is says, that women should be free, or women should have. But the thing is it's, what do you want the relationship to be? Do you want it to be the masculine man and the feminine woman? I think that's what most people want, because it feels right. Like, women can pretend to want to be masculine, but it doesn't, I think, generally feel natural to do. And here's another thing, is that when men are around women a lot, they turn feminine, they turn soft, because the woman's hormones, pheromones, go into their system, and it makes them, I think, act differently. Just like, how there's other phenomenon in biology, where, for example, women, when they're all uh, together in a group all the time, their menstrual cycles start to synchronize. And so there are these things that happen. And I also think that, as much as I do appreciate and celebrate LGBTQ, and hopefully they will set a trend in stopping with the promiscuity and starting with true love, even if people say that they shouldn't be, because that's something a lot of people use against the LGBTQ, is that they are promiscuous. But if they weren't, then they would be a better example than a lot of the people who, quote unquote, say they're religious or Christian or Muslim, but they're not truly orthodox, and they're not truly abiding by what I would say is the principal aspect. And this is the theme of my discussion today. That's the principal aspect of what makes us a stable society, and have an ability to trust each other and rely on each other, and not compete aggressively and unfairly with each other, but cooperate, is this understanding that only each person can only have one woman, and each man, and men. Part of this is about men's standards. Women follow men's standards. So, for example, if men don't mind being with promiscuous women, and men don't mind this whole polyamorous narrative that they call it being a player, or being an alpha male, but guess what? All it ends up being is a bunch of guys sleeping with a bunch of women who've been sleeping with a bunch of guys. And also, be careful of the language here. Even I should be sleeping. No, it's having intimacy. It's having sex. That's the. It's like wanting the. It's like wanting the reward of marriage, which is in part intimacy and closeness, and without doing the work that it takes to become marriage material. And I would say that ultimately, guys, this is the root issue of problems in the world, because other problems will be solved when a root issue is solved. When 95% of the otherwise decent people can get along, who are not decent because they're all secretly trying to one-up each other, and attract the most attractive, whatever. They're trying to have multiple mates. I mean, why can't a man be attractive, find one woman sufficiently attractive enough, That's one point. But the essence of what I'm saying is, if all people are going to care about is this physical gratification, then guess what? If the species destroys itself in war because the 95% can't get along and collaborate to manage the problematic 5%, which are inevitably there, that 5% that may be either possessed by dark forces, demons, or they might be just corrupt, by biological nature, corrupted by power or what have you. So we got to regain control of ourselves, and the way is by elevating men's standards, so men do not find promiscuous women attractive because these women, are attached to too many men. And another thing is this whole attachment thing, like people creating these attachments to other humans just like you would a drug. Well, how would you do that with somebody that you don't love? So getting back into the videos here, so that's one person, and John Zerka, that's one person to look into. Another person to look into is this guy Adam Lane Smith. He's talks in a very scholarly way. He
unable to truly move forward in life. Do you find yourself sometimes reaching for the phone? Specialist, and I've got 15 years of training and experience in psychology and relationships.
So he's a attachment specialist, quote unquote, and he'll help you to not be attached. I strongly recommend him. But ultimately, guys, it's about men being strong, and it's not about like attachment. Well, it is, but it's about men being tough and being able to say like "F you" to any woman who's not his wife, and in his actions, not actually physically do rude things to women. I mean, if a woman does approach you, you should be able to, if she tries to seduce you, you should be able to like stand up and say, "Get the F away from me," or that type of thing. You're not my wife, that type of thing. And so that's how we develop this self-respect, because it's not letting your emotions dictate, it's not letting your sexual desires dictate what's going to happen in your life, one, and two, it's not letting it's making your wife your first priority, your future wife. So we have this guy worth looking into, and then we have let's get some background. Well, not yet. Let's get this guy. This is a good episode here. It's described as hoe math, and that is when women's logic is applied to things and in potentially irrational ways. And guys, this is not about a bias towards women. I mean, obviously we're humans, we need to collaborate and celebrate each other. This is more about what does an ideal society look like. And I would say that it's one where there's a lot of people who are married, and there's another point out there that explains that when societies become where polygynous, where the man has multiple wives, like in Muslim maybe perhaps places, then the other men become restless and violence increases in society. And that's exactly what you see happening in America, especially when you put young people together in like high school and whatnot, and you're obviously subjecting them to, like, this is one of my points in how to avoid premarital intimacy. It's like you're clearly subjecting them to make it hard for them to avoid premarital intimacy. You're encouraging it if you're promoting if you agree with and you're promoting the co-ed mixed gender schooling for the youth, because obviously they're going to create attachments to each other in that. But back to this. So
It was such a life and death situation. That's why it was more important. So it was more important for her to make sure that she kept the man she was with. So what does she do? She's constantly checking. Are you looking at that other girl? And that's where these shit tests come from. Why did you do this? Why did you do this? One of the things I really loved was, and you made a video about her, was Sadia Khan. You remember what I'm talking about? She makes some really great content. She said something like, the one thing that every woman actually wants is a man she cannot manipulate. And I think about that blowtorch thing.
So that's reaffirming what I was saying about women don't really want a bad boy, quote unquote. They want a guy who's just strong and then lastly but not least, here, listen to this. This is Fresh and Fit. He's the guy, Myron, that says that he doesn't think giving oral to women is the height of the experience, while I think it is. I think that the reason he says that is because he's promiscuous. And this guy is also a hypocrite, because he says that, women are being promiscuous in the U.S., and yet he's being promiscuous with women, and then he on the same and so with his co-hosts, and the same with and then he says, I'll go to a Muslim or foreign country to find a virgin, quote unquote, wife, but what he should be doing is realize that he can work to create that kind of culture here and now, and not be promoting the culture he doesn't want, which is a culture of treating women disrespectfully and like objectifying them and not protecting them and helping them to find a husband. We can do that for each other. It shouldn't be just someone's father doing that. But
she was basically almost like the other girl, almost like a gym girl,
So there's somebody calling in to their show, and he's saying I'm trying to, just listen to what he's saying here.
I had all the traits that I wanted, so I started talking to this girl, the second girl, and so now I'm in a predicament, almost like in a situation where it's two girls that I really, really like, that like me back, that obviously they want monogamy, they want me to be with just them, but me, and now I'm not just working a regular job. I started a business. I have a clothing brand. I just started drop shipping and day trading. Made a whole bunch of money, but besides the point.
So the question look. I'll say the question for you. I'll say the question for you, bro. The question for you, I'll ask it, because I already know what the fuck you're gonna ask. Yo, you basically want to have both girls. Yo, this is what you do. Tell them, sit them both down. Tell them, look, there's another girl. I like her. I like you too. And I'm just gonna have both y'all, and I want you guys to introduce them. Boom, done. And if they don't like it, then too bad. Drop the ones that don't want it, and to keep going on with your life. Or you could do the other option, which is just lie and run around and fucking do the whole cheating bullshit. But that's gonna be a very difficult life for you.
Yeah.
I get you.
So that's like I watch these guys for partially entertainment, but also to know how some men think who are not being heart oriented. They're not operating from the heart space. They're operating from their second chakra, because they most likely are not engaging in self-intimacy masturbation. So they're not managing that energy and bringing it up to a higher consciousness. So, and higher chakra, the fourth chakra of the heart. And so it's funny, but it's also a look into. Let's just go into here. It's a look into the whole world, right, of this, and so basically, and also I want to make a promise to myself and the chat here, is that I'm going to go live later. I'm gonna finish this stream soon, and then I'm gonna go live soon after. I'm gonna be going to exercise, And oh, by the way, also what I've been doing is I've been doing running, so 4 hours a week. Split that up into, 4 runs on 4 days for 1 hour. And also, I also do it on the stationary bike at a gym, and also I use the sauna like 3 times a week, 10 minutes in there, 190 degrees. Guys, this is, I'm feeling great in my life, and you really have to, and I go into the sauna for like a 3-minute warm up before I start running, and I get into it, I get into the atmosphere of the gym, or if I'm going on a run, it's, I'll listen to a podcast, or the point is make time for this, right? So, and breathe through it, enjoy it. But that's my best workout advice. And then supplement that by maybe a day or so of weights in the gym if you like to do that. But the cardio, the heart is my goal is to live as long as possible. And also I'll do sets of push-ups, like 50 push-ups, 40 push-ups. I'll do maybe a couple sets a day, or every other, and then or another exercise, just stuff to get you moving and get your body feeling stretched out and strong throughout the day. You got to feel your body, but try to experiment with what I just said, and maybe fine tune that. Okay, so now that you have that, now that you have kind of a perspective, did you see what those guys were talking about? It was pretty silly. It was pretty like he's encouraging them to have 2 women. Like, what kind of man would want more than one woman? And what type of woman would want a man to have multiple people? Because that means she would have less focus and less attention and less energy from the man. So, and I recognize that there are exceptions. Maybe there's a bisexual lesbian couple who find a man and they want to all be together as 3. I've heard of that. But generally, guys, it's like you want one person you can trust to just completely be, and I think as a man, you want somebody who can fit into your life. You know what I mean? Like it should be a woman who, it shouldn't be like hoping that she likes you. It should be like, as a man, you should be like, this is my life, and then you can make up little tasks and things that you want your woman to do, like go on certain exercise with you. She can, like, whatever you're doing, maybe some secretarial work for you, maybe make food and give you massages because after a hard day of work, or stuff like that. You should. And then of course some women, and it's good that some women are competent and skilled, but in terms of, that's like putting on the facade of what we have to do to earn a living, but then at home I really think that it just works more smoothly if there's one person who's the masculine role, and one person takes the other person's last name, and they all are completely committed to each other. And that's what I'm about to talk about on my upcoming stream soon. That's going to be where I put together my notes. I've got my notes here. I've got plenty of notes, and it's going to be a compilation where I put it all together, and I decide that I can effectively, send this message out to some churches and explain that premarital intimacy is the biggest issue, the biggest problem, and and the reasons. I'm going to talk about the reasons why it's an issue. I'm going to talk about why men why women, women's strategies to avoid premarital intimacy and why, and then men's strategies. So that's going to be coming up soon, you guys. And yeah, let's see here for a second, actually. Let's see. Here. So yeah, let's see here. I think I'm gonna go for another like 10 minutes, little chat here. So thanks for staying with me. Okay, so let's just take out a Word document, and then I will tell you what I'm typing while I'm typing it, and then if there's anyone watching or in the chat to offer some feedback. Okay, so I'm thinking the title is going to be Why Avoid Premarital Intimacy. And another thing is, I would think that more women would be like a fan of mine, but what I've noticed is it seems like most women just follow whatever the richest men are doing, and they don't really say much, which is strange, because you'd think that women would take their newfound freedom and use it to help empower people to be more celebrating of women, treating them sacred, protecting them, and when I say protecting women, people sometimes see it as a slant of like women's like a property to be managed and protected, but no, I'm saying it like women should want to protect themselves as well. That's our future. It's our vessel of human incubation and procreation and life. And so here we go. So why avoid premarital intimacy? Question mark. So first thing I do is I define premarital intimacy. What is it defined as? And I say it's not only, pardon me, it's not only sex acts, but it's also verbal interactions such as flirting, dating, or talking to. You heard the guy in the video, he said he was talking to several women. What does that even mean? Like, people say dating and they use these obscure terms instead of saying sexuality. And that's just one more evidence that people know that it's wrong and that they might go to hell, quote unquote. And that translates in my world to it's unloving. When people say, oh, it's wrong that you're doing something, it sometimes it just doesn't seem like a well-defined argument, and that's because of the precision of language. Like so I convert the word wrong to the word unloving, and then I convert the word like believe. When people say they believe that gays are bad, or they believe that Jesus is good and stuff, then I say to them, well, would you prefer that? Like, would you really want a homophobic Jesus, quote unquote, to come down and destroy people and be a autocratic ruler with using magical, say, forces like I would rather depend on ourselves as humans to generate real world solutions in both the ideology and the technology that we use to make ourselves more civilized. So the word believe versus prefer, that's a big element in my approach. And so, but getting back to it, so I start off with let's call it point one. So point one is, what is it defined as? It's not always sex acts, but it's verbal interactions such as dating, flirting, talking to, etc. And then my second point is, what is premarital intimacy defined as? And then my second point is, supposedly one major component of many religions is at least the Orthodox religions is to avoid premarital intimacy. And so nowadays, religious authorities such as church directors are allowing premarital intimacy to occur to allowing premarital intimacy, allowing their, and this is important, this part, their members to pursue premarital intimacy. And the reason members is an important word is because ultimately, guys, any organization, it's defined by its members. Who does it allow in it? That's why the Mormon community, they have a very wise approach of they'll they'll have a whole, they have a list of people who are officially a part of their organization, their church. And I think that is the right way to do it, because that shows definitively, like, is this person officially? And then of course you've got to be careful for people who might say that they're part of it, or they might say that they're Christian or Muslim or religious, but they don't avoid premarital intimacy. They're not sacred in that way. And I think that's you can say that you're all this religion and you're doing all of this, but ultimately it's like, what's your core, you know what I mean? Like, what's the essence of what you're trying to, what's the core ritual, as it were, of the religion? Is it to pray? I would say it's to avoid premarital intimacy, because it shows respect for not trying to manipulate others, it shows self-control, it shows that you're thinking sustainably and respectfully to society. Okay, so supposedly a component of many religions, at least in Orthodox religions, to avoid premarital intimacy. Nowadays, religious authorities such as church directors are allowing their members to pursue premarital intimacy. So then the next question is, the next theory, like I was saying, is I think that avoiding premarital, let's call it PMI, premarital intimacy, is fundamental. It is a fundamental ritual of many religions. It is helpful, just like prayer and other community oriented religions, rituals. Okay, and then I go on to say, okay, so what's the main point here? The main point is the best way to world peace is by avoiding premarital intimacy. Why? Because it promotes trust and respect and leads to people properly developing themselves to be ready for a strong marriage, which creates a sustainable future. Okay, so, and then I go on to say, historically, why did people avoid premarital intimacy? Yay! Okay, I think I'm gonna call it here, guys. I will be back. I'll be back, and yeah, we'll have some more fun. But I'm gonna go. Okay, I'm gonna go exercise, and yeah, thanks for being here with me. But tune back in soon, a little later, like in, let's say, in about 2 hours. So in Hawaii, that would be about 7:30, 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours Pacific Standard Time, and I'll be here again. And yeah, thank you guys.